Hi there. I have such an encouraging, just a very quick bite-sized word for you today, and it's about transformation. And you've probably heard this a lot. You would have heard me speak about it. The transformation means a marked change in form, nature, or appearance, and it comes from the word metamorphosis. So the Bible in the book of Romans tells us to be transformed and not conformed to the pattern or the shape of this world. So we are designed to be a different shape to what's going on out there in the world. We're not meant to be pressed out of shape, bent out of shape, look like everybody else. And if you look at people who have no hope, we are not meant to look like that, because our hope is in God, who's faithful and true. So we are designed to be in the shape of Jesus. We are, every time we have a victory, every time we resist opposition, every time we stand in faith, we are being changed or transformed into the shape of Jesus. And isn't that amazing that we have this, we have God, we have the Spirit of God who's working with us, working in us, even in times where we feel that we are pressed out of shape and it's getting so tough and the battle is so long and so hard, that the Spirit of God is working with us and molding us, and we're becoming more and more like Jesus, the victorious King, the overcomer. You have it in your spiritual DNA. It's written into your spiritual DNA to be like Jesus. And so when we swim against the stream of the world system and we allow the Spirit of God to help us to grow, every time we stand on the mountaintop and we have this victory, we shout these shouts of victory because God has done something for us. God has delivered us. When the times where we don't see the victory yet, and we're grateful and we say, I'm not giving up, I'm going to get through this thing. Every time we do this, we're being molded and shaped. But even in the times where we feel, this is the mystery, and this is how amazing God is, that even in the times where we feel that we've just given up, we've done nothing, we sit down and we say, I can't do this anymore, that the Spirit of God comes and draws alongside of us and breathes a fresh breath of faith and strength into us. Every time we have a little glimpse of joy, a little glimpse of hope, there's something that the Spirit of God is doing in your life, and you're still on the journey. God never gives up. He's faithful to complete the work that He began in you. That is the thing. We give up. We give up in our thinking. We say, I can't do this faith thing anymore. And then the Spirit of God nudges us and we see the goodness of God, maybe in a small way. But that's God getting involved in the details of your life. So don't let the enemy tell you that the rest of your life is meant to be pressed, to be lived by being pressed from all sides until you look like someone who has no hope. In all your resistance against the opposition, in all your leaning into God for strength and for help, in all your saying, I'm pressing into the kingdom, I'm going to do it God's way and not my way, you are being transformed. You've gained spiritual muscle. You think, you feel weak, you feel burnt out, but in the spiritual realm, if you could put on spiritual glasses and see what has happened, you've gained spiritual muscle. You can stand stronger and you can stand for longer than you could before. If you think back to a year ago and the things that you went through and the things that you stood for and the things God did for you, you gain spiritual muscle that you never lose. In the natural, you lose muscle if you don't keep using it. I believe we need to keep using our faith, but you don't lose the victories that you won before, or that God won on your behalf. Your spiritual eyesight has developed and you don't even realize it. You learn to see things through God's eyes in the things that you walk through, in the battle that you fought. You learn to see from God's perspective. Maybe you had to learn from your mistakes, but you learned some things on your journey of faith. Your hearing, you can hear more clearer than ever before, because the enemy is saying to you that you can't hear properly. You made mistakes before, you're stuck in this place, don't do it again. But your hearing was developed to hear the voice of God, to be instructed by God. The other thing that happened was your sense of smell. was developed. You can sniff things out. You recognize the traps that are there, the mistakes that you made before, the lies of the enemy. You can sniff out the problems before they even come close to you, because you learned them in previous seasons. You need to begin to see yourself as a person of faith, that you can get through whatever you're going through, because you have all the things that you've learned at your disposal today to strengthen you. So the enemy's going to say to you, you are spiritually dull. You've made too many mistakes. You can't go on. Don't follow the herd going on down the path of discouragement. You're called to walk in the ways of the kingdom, because you have been equipped and designed for these days. I want to say this to you. You can, there's something else I wanted to say to you. You can hear the sound of the kingdom now. If you just stop and listen, you know you can hear the voice of God. The sound of the kingdom is the sound of joyful shouting, and salvation is in the tents of the righteous. You believe before you receive, because you learned from your past. Never just put your past aside and say, I don't want to think about that. Remember how God delivered you. Remember the victories that you have, and begin to look at your spiritual muscles as something that were developed. So you are being led by the Spirit into a new season of overflow. Remember that. It's overflow in every area. This is where we're going. And the enemy wants you to believe that it's better to give up, because there's nothing changing. There's nothing coming for you. We're going into a season of overflow in every area. And it's for all of us. So you're still standing because you don't belong to this world. That's why. If you belong to this world, you would have given up long ago. You would not be standing anymore. You'd be trying to find a crutch or help in some other area. But you're still standing because you have faith. And the enemy's saying, you don't have enough faith. You're still here. You're still listening to the sound of my voice saying this to you. Don't be conformed to the pattern of this world. And that tells me that you have faith. You're a member of the household of God. You're a chosen generation who stand for all that the kingdom is known for, and that is righteousness, peace, and joy. Those are yours. The kingdom of God is not in eating and drinking. It's in righteousness, peace, and joy. The kingdom of God is within you. So be encouraged today. I'll read to you Romans chapter 12, verse 2. And do not be conformed to this world, but don't be changed. Don't be pressed into the shape of the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Have a change of attitude. Have a change of thinking, because you're a member of the kingdom. And you've got notches on your belt. You've got victories to remember. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Have a kingdom attitude, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. And the perfect will of God for you today is that you walk as an overcomer with victory in mind, and you recognize that you have the faith that God needs you to have today. So be encouraged with that today.